Hello. Today we're going to do a little bit of full body. We did the face, and we did, I think, a little bit of the hands. We might do a full body today, just because why not? Alright, so I'm going to start off with my little bit of a character out here. And there's my basic face, right? I can go in a little bit closer if I want to deal with that. I got the skull, and I've got the chin about halfway, maybe a little bit above the eye. I'm going to break that down into different quadrants, right? It's all very mathematical to start off with here. There's the nose. There's my little bit of a mouth, right? And like we did before, I can think about, building the eyeball, that kind of stuff. Thinking a little bit about measurements, all that kind of stuff. He looks like a little, like, ghosty figure. Ear goes from the eye to the nose. We're going to give him kind of big ears, right? So whatever form that takes, that's kind of cool. Build a little bit of hair on top of there. And then the neck comes down from the ears, right? So that's pretty good right there. That's looking all right, right? So now my next thing is I have to kind of build the body. So I take the head like this, and again, chest is usually on your average person about like that, 3 heads tall. There's the shoulders. I like to kind of build that, your average kind of male-ish figure, right? If we're gonna not be too gender specific, but like that, it's kind of like an upside down, or it's kind of like the shoulders are wider than the hips, right? So I can kind of start building that in. And people are all different kinds of forms and all that kind of stuff. So, some people have, shorter, kind of squat like that. This is kind of an average size. If you're going to do a more of like kind of a female character, I might take that same form of the face right there, like that. And then you can basically just turn that upside down, right? For generally speaking, again, not to be too gender specific and all that, but the hips are going to be slightly wider, right? And then you can always kind of refine that and be like half and half. And then I'm going to make a little bit of a V there so that the shoulders are a little bit more well defined there, in the waist, and then the hips and that sort of thing, right? So that's where I kind of build that in. And then the male, I just kind of extend those lines. What I'll do is I'll just kind of go down like this, starting very, very rough, so that I'm not making any decisions necessarily about the final line. I can come down here, determine where my knees are going to be. Right, I can always kind of build volume and stuff later on. This one, women are a little bit more thicker at the top of the thigh, and it kind of thins down. Same with men, but it's just a little bit more narrow, generally speaking. Again, as a general rule, right? Once I kind of get into this, I know here I'm going to kind of define where the waist is, right there. Arms obviously come down. If I'm doing like something like this, I kind of sketch it in really, really lightly, like that, right? If you stand up out of your chair that you're in right now, and you let your arms kind of lay down to the sides about mid-thigh, that's where your fingertips end, is mid-thigh. So I'm just going to kind of grab a little bit of finger action going on there. If you bend your arms, right, you'll see that your elbow hits you pretty much mid area right there, right? I've got a volume here for the chest. I got a volume here for the hips. Those elbows should meet just in the middle of that volume right there, right? And then everything after this is a little bit of finessing, right? It's a little bit of basically just taking those basic shapes and figuring out how I can refine them, right? So if I take this this guy right here, I have this volume of his chest. I'm going to kind of build that chest over there, and then I can add some detail like that. Again, it's not too difficult to think about these basic shapes before you start in on the detail. What you don't want to do is start in on detail. You want to start off really rough and then add detail as you go. So here, there's some little detail there. Kind of come down here, and all this form underneath will also help you determine all the clothing on top. It'll help you kind of determine how you work all of this stuff. So if I go there, boom, boom, kind of like that, right? The rough drawing is kind of your template as you go forward. I can also think about the heel and the toe. And again, it's really rough to begin with. We'll do maybe like a little cleanup video a little bit later on. So all this stuff is kind of meant to be temporary. If I wanted to change it, or I want to do anything differently to it, I'm not married to this drawing right here, because it's a very kind of quick, easy sketch, and it's meant to be like a throwaway kind of thing, right? So it's all just kind of a process, and this first step in the process is just kind of trying to figure out what my basic build is going to be, and I can always kind of change it later on. But it's again, it's just kind of a process. So the first step is to do the rough build. So that's what today was about, is doing a rough build of your character. Boom, boom, boom. Hope you liked it.